For me, the Harry Potter movies are simply put incredible, and they even adapt each book to the big screen that it was based on more than any other films in the franchise throughout the whole world. I mean, yes, I do bash them a few times, but just like I said, it doesn't mean that they are bad films. They are great films, and I do love everything about them. The cast and the crew, the acting performances, the special effects, every magical places, and so on. But when it comes to such complicated book series as much as Harry Potter, when adapting a book to a movie, there are some ways that they had to evolve with such 700 to 800 pages, and the reason why the film had to left out every single details throughout. There's a big announcement that there is an official Harry Potter reboot that will be on Max. So in this video, I'm going to discuss the Harry Potter reboot as I explain some of the things that I want to see in the reboot. These are things that the movies either left out many things from the book that they didn't have time to cover, or even some ways that the film changed or sort of messed up the things that they did in a very different way. I'm just going to go over my own opinions with these things, and it's okay if you disagree with me. Everyone has their own opinion, but let's keep the video positive as well as the comment section. So let's get started. Harry's eye color. In the books, Harry has green eyes, and it's said over and over again throughout the books that he has his mother's eyes. And it's not just a constant theme throughout the books, but in the films too. In the movies though, Daniel Radcliffe, who played as Harry, had blue eyes. And I know they tried to give him green color contacts on the first day of shooting, but realizing that it made Radcliffe so allergic that he didn't respond well to the contacts. And I will admit, I'm totally fine with the way it is. However, they made the actress who played Lily have brown eyes, and even have a close-up shot of her face that showed her eyes, and it makes this mistake even more confusing and sort of messed up. But anyways, they need to have both Harry and Lily's actors and actresses have the exact same colored eyes. Also, it would be cool to see Voldemort have the sinister red eyes, but it wouldn't be that necessary. The Quidditch World Cup. The movies did a good job of bringing the Quidditch World Cup to life, but after all that excitement that we had and that the game was about to start, we didn't even see it as they just cut it completely. We've seen young kids play Quidditch, which is fun to watch, but seeing professional Quidditch players would be really exciting to see more than anything else. It would be like a connection of how LeBron James and Michael Jordan started being a young basketball player to a professional basketball player. They need to have a full game between Ireland and Bulgaria in this match, and I would love to see Victor Crumb before the Wronski feint, where he pretends to see the snitch, dive down, and then the other seeker would crash. That would be so cool to see. Charlie Weasley. Charlie's a fan favorite for so many book readers, and his character was left out in the movies almost entirely. They mention him a few times, and they even have a small cameo of him in the newspaper article. Ignoring this scene though, he did play a big role in the first book where he was able to help the trio with the dragon. Then he did make his appearance in the fourth book where he officially meted Harry for the first time, and we'd also see him go to the Quidditch World Cup. Then we saw him later in the fifth book where he was able to join the Order of the Phoenix. And then he appeared in the seventh book where he was able to fight in the Battle of Hogwarts with a bunch of Hogsmeade villagers. Throughout the whole seasons, they need to have Charlie's character, and I would love him to death if they involve his character. And I would be a huge fan of him completely, especially with the actor who played as him. Peeves the Poltergeist. Peeves is such a funny character that brings so much comic relief to the whole series that every Harry Potter fans would love to hate. And the whole films left him out entirely. They actually casted him as Rick Mayall was able to play the character, and they even shot scenes with him in the first movie. But Chris Columbus decided to cut this deleted scene, especially with his character too, because of the way he was unhappy with the ghost effects. If they casted a comedian to play as him, I would so be dying to see his character. And more than anything else, I would love to see Fred and George telling Peeves to give Umbridge hell, and then Peeves would give them the salute, and eventually whacking Umbridge with a walking stick. That would be worth the hype. The Battle of the Astronomy Tower. Unfortunately, there is no official battle at the end of the Half-Blood Prince film, and they even left so many things out. So much so that even when I reread the sixth book, I even like to call it the first Battle of Hogwarts. And there are so many stuff going on in this one. In the book, the DA teams up with the Order of the Phoenix, and there is an insane battle as they fought the Death Eaters to a small hallway that led to the Astronomy Tower. And we see some things happening, like Harry getting tackled by Greyback, but only to let Harry stun him, Neville being knocked out from a curse, McGonagall sending the Death Eaters running for the hills, especially kicking butt at the same time, and one of the most shocking things of all is Fenrir Greyback attacking and destroying Bill Weasley's face, making him look unrecognizable. That to me would have been so exciting to see, especially with the whole battle going on. The Sirius Black break-in in Gryffindor Tower. This scene feels so crazy and very intense, and the movie never showed Sirius Black's second attempt at going to Gryffindor Tower. We only see him slashing the fat lady's portrait, but in the book, we actually see him enter the Gryffindor common room, and was briefly mentioned in a deleted scene, which didn't have the full effect. And instead of mentioning this in the book, we actually see it happen. In the middle of the night, when all the boys were sleeping, Sirius Black enters the common room and starts slashing and destroying Ron's bedroom curtains with his knife. Black escaped though when Ron saw his shadow and screamed in utter horror. After the attack, Ron was able to tell everything else what had happened. And when Sir Cadogan tells McGonagall that he let Black in, he then tells her that he had a full list of passwords. This then leads to McGonagall being furious with Neville as she then punishes him severely. This to me would have been so intense if they had that scene, because the film cut perhaps one of the most darkest and best scenes throughout the whole films. And I would love to see McGonagall telling the kids to warn their safety, including Harry's reaction after the attack, because Daniel Radcliffe and Maggie Smith did one of the best acting skills of any of the films.
Now, I speak for the entire staff when I say, while we take every precaution to ensure your safety, it is incumbent upon yourselves to act responsibly.
He was right there. He was close enough to touch. I could have killed him.
Dumbledore's backstory. The movies barely got any of these things, which is Harry looking through pictures of him in Grindelwald to pages of a book, Ariana's painted with little to no explanation, and so much more. But nevertheless, they need to cover up every single detail within his backstory about his tragic past life. Backtracking a bit though, I want to see Dumbledore's actual real words while in the cave, where he pleads himself for protecting his siblings from Grindelwald. Then when we do get to season 7, I want to see Harry reading through the entire book, which dives more within every plot within Albus's past in the 7th book, where he grows up with his family, his sister being an Obscurial, his mother being killed by Ariana, his father being sentenced to Azkaban after he hurt the 3 boys who went after Ariana, and this would also include his weird, crazy, loving gay relationship with Grindelwald. And just like the Fantastic Beasts films that cover their relationship a few, I want to see their actual screen time moments where they would send letters to each other, and I would also see the same blood pact that they made where they would swear to each other that they would not fight, especially a way of taking over the Wizarding World and rule over Muggles for the greater good. And also, I would like to see a duel between the two of them, including Albus's brother Aberforth, which would lead to Ariana's death. And I was expecting that we would actually see Dumbledore and Grindelwald's actual duel in The Secrets of Dumbledore, but just didn't feel the same. But anyways, they need to cover up 2 mistakes from 2 different Wizarding World mediums. They need to give every single detail within Dumbledore's backstory that would fully understand his character throughout. Umbridge was the one who sent the Dementors after Harry. Unfortunately, the 5th movie cut perhaps one of the most shocking and disappointing things that the movie had left out for Umbridge as a way of making us movie fans would hate her even more. There was a scene in the book when Harry and Hermione were all caught, and Umbridge and Harry had a conversation, and in this, she revealed to herself that she was the one who sent the Dementors to attack Harry, knowing he would literally use magic to defend himself. This to me would have been so powerful if they had kept this in. One of the scenes that I wish would have seen that would have been so important to the movie is Umbridge sending 5 Aurors to go after Hagrid, which would eventually lead to McGonagall being knocked out unconscious when she tries to help, and Hagrid literally going full beast mode and attacking the Aurors single-handedly. If they involved a scene that would hate Umbridge even more, I would give Season 5 a praise for a butterbeer for this. They're welcome. Seeing more Quidditch in the 5th season. I talked about in my video essay on why the Order of the Phoenix cut Quidditch entirely. But because they had made the longest book in the series to a shortest film, they need to cover up every single Quidditch game that they had to cover up, especially if adding more scenes that the movies have left out. This would also include Season 3 of Harry facing off Cho Chang in the 3rd book, then winning the Quidditch World Cup in the same exact book, Ron performing Keeper in the 5th book rather than the 6th installment, and then winning the cup yet again, and then see a full season of Harry becoming captain of the 6th book, which we of course saw a bit of in the film, but didn't have enough time for that. And also, I would love to see Harry and George beat the crap out of Malfoy in the 5th season. This would be so cool to watch, and it would be such a nice way of having a nice kickoff of having Malfoy getting his butt kicked, besides that one moment in Prisoner of Azkaban. Ron and Ginny's true personality. Ron has so many great moments throughout the whole book series, but a lot of them were taken from him and given to Hermione throughout each films. And on top of that, they make him look comic relief and sort of what dumb in so many scenes. The scene that bothered me the most was when Hermione was able to save Harry from Sirius when entering the Shrieking Shack. Ron was the one who did this, as he was able to protect Harry and was able to stand on his completely destroyed leg. Meanwhile, in the movie, Hermione jumps in front of the two while Ron just sits there looking confused. And there are so many examples of this. I made a YouTube short about Ron's character in the books versus the movies, but I'll leave it as it is. They need to make sure that Ron is very smart, competent, Harry's true best friend, loyal, and gets all the moments that he would have that the movies have taken away from him. Now, as for Ginny, in the later books, Ginny is insanely cool, popular, very attractive, super outgoing, sarcastic girl. While in the movies, she barely had none of those things other than being pretty. And also, I hope, and I mean die hard hope, that the actress for Ginny has real-life chemistry for the actor for Harry like they had in the books. Because the movies screwed their relationship and have Daniel Radcliffe and Bonnie Wright had filmed their most awkward scenes throughout the whole film series. Seeing the Marauders' backstory and all the Voldemort memories. I know I might be biased, but when I made my video on The Prisoner of Azkaban, I discussed on many things on why it's my favorite film of the franchise. And after discussing so many things, there was one thing I haven't discussed, however, and that is the Marauders' backstory. Because the movies let their whole story entirely, as they barely mention upon it, even going by their nicknames throughout. In order to make my favorite film much more successful, they need to have the entire backstory for the Marauders, where Lupin, Sirius, James, and Peter made the Marauders map, becoming legal animagi, and even forming their best friend group, whether it could be in seasons 3, 5, or 7. And I would be intrigued on having Sirius telling the trio on how he escaped from Azkaban. This would be much of a roller coaster throughout season 3. There's so many darker stuff, and then revealing a big plot twist. Now for the Voldemort memories. It's so controversial that The Half-Blood Prince is my favorite book in the series, which is such a hot take on why the 6th film is my 3rd favorite, even when I did have problems with it, as they made the 6th film be a much more romantic comedy. But if they toned 6th season a lot more better, this would also include the Gaunt family, where Merope slips Tom Riddle Sr. under a love potion, Voldemort visiting his Uncle Morphin, and then stealing the Gaunt family ring, Voldemort visiting Dumbledore to have a job at Hogwarts, but only letting Dumbledore refuse to let it happen, which would lead Voldemort to put on the curse in the Defense Against the Dark Arts post. And what would be my favorite scene, in my opinion, is Voldemort wooing and charming Hepzibah Smith into getting Salazar Slytherin's locket, including Hufflepuff's cup, then killing her. Adding all these memories would make such a reason on why Voldemort is a very evil, sick, and twisted murderer he was, as he is the way he is. Here are some other honorable mentions that would also count on what I do want to see in the reboot. St. Mungo's Hospital. The actual death of Fred Weasley, Gellert Grindelwald, and Peter Pettigrew. Regulus Black's backstory. Hagrid's tale. And those are my list with my own opinions that I want to see in the new reboot. Let me know in the comments on what your opinion on what you want to see in the new reboot. Hopefully I'll see you all in the next video.